me twice a week.
That was a good way to start the show. Welcome to the Last Week in Cannabis podcast.
Sorry.
That was a freaking awesome way to start the podcast. Per usual on this channel, anyone that's watched us for a while knows that we tend to botch the openings pretty badly on a regular basis.
I think
it regularly ends up being comedic.
You need to have Brain or myself do the intro from now on. I think that's probably
yeah.
I was gonna say, definitely you're gonna have to stop including we in this, Steve.
Yeah. Me and Marty, and Roger, not capable of doing intros. You know what? You know when we had a good intro? When I had my roommate do it when we did the first episode of Last Week Tonight. I'll have to see.
The music intro.
Yeah, we gotta go back to that and go back to doing live music intros. I think. How's everybody doing today? Before we get to the news.
Doing good, man. Doing good.
We have Fish Ganja Guy with us today. We have Brain Grow. What's up, Brain Grow?
Well, I was just gonna say it's been a pretty rough weekend on my part. My pops was actually just diagnosed with stage 4 cancer over the weekend, so.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, dude, I'm sorry.
Sorry to hear that for sure.
Get him on the cannabis suppositories and the heavy edibles.
Yeah, exactly. I already made him some CBD brownies, so.
Well, Steve, before we just go
CBD
straight to rectal suppositories, is it even like a rectal cancer?
It is actually.
It is? Okay, then
aside from whether or not it's that, when you take it rectally, you actually end up uptaking significantly more THC and CBD per dose when it's introduced that way than if you take it orally or even smoked it, in terms of grams, purchased to grams uptaken.
All right. Well, hey, Brain, dude, good luck.
Yeah, I've also seen confirmation of that. Yeah, it does. It's been pretty rough, but all in all, my family's taking it pretty well. My dad's taking it pretty well. So life goes on.
That's good. That's good. He takes it like that because what can you do to deal with it?
Yeah.
It is what I don't want to use it.
At least I can make some cannabis medicine for him, at least.
Yeah. Who knows what'll happen? What'll transpire from that?
Exactly.
So anyway, last week in Cannabis news show, huh? Is that what we're doing?
Yep.
Get it on.
And, quick thing with me, I was supposed to be moving north today, and it was so hot that it was 103 here today. So we went and started moving stuff outside, and one of my records literally melted. My John Denver and the Muppets record just melted, like within 2 minutes of being loaded into the truck. So I immediately stopped putting anything worth value into the truck. So pulled out everything, and we moved everything back out because it was just too fucking hot. So I'm gonna have to wait till tomorrow. But I have a really cool thing. Me and Fish Ganja Guy have a really cool surprise for you guys tomorrow. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but him and I are gonna be visiting a really cool place in LA tomorrow with someone that's been on the show. And they're going to show us their facility and some of the cool stuff they got going on behind the scenes. And we're going to get a chance to do some YouTube videos there. And we might even do a quick live video. I'm not sure. We'll see what they want to do.
It may or may not be a titty bar on Sunset. I'm just throwing that out.
Yes. Yep. So if you guys are interested in the LA area and want to grab a bite or something tomorrow night and you're watching live, definitely hit me up. Might be able to see you guys afterwards. So let's get to the news. For those of you guys that don't know, we do this show every week on Mondays. Once in a while we do it on Tuesdays if we're traveling, mostly if I'm traveling. And it's dedicated to news, events, policies, legal decisions, and important announcements in the cannabis world for the past week. We try to cover whatever's important. So this week we're much lighter on articles than we were the last couple of weeks, but that's just because there wasn't a lot of articles. I use the same sources every week. I have the same, a couple of different places I look on the internet and a couple of different search engines, along with a couple of different websites that are known for cannabis news. So we kind of hit those, and based on that, we, generate the articles. So this is what we got for this week. So I hope you enjoy it. Let us know if you have any feedback. This is a newer show, so if you have feedback on the format or how we could do things differently, let us know. And then also, if you're interested in any of these articles, I do post them in the comments in the YouTube. If you're listening on SoundCloud, just check the link over on YouTube, because the SoundCloud does not let me post this many characters, so I have to post them all on YouTube in the comments, but I do post them all over there, so definitely check that out if you're listening in the audio version.
Good. Okay.
So let's get to the first article this week. The first article of the week comes to us from Leafly, and it's the Koch brothers warn Trump against the failed war on cannabis. The Koch brothers said that...
Not sure that's how you pronounce their last name.
The Koch brothers? The Koch brothers?
I'm pretty sure it's Koch brothers.
The Koch brothers? Okay. The Koch brothers warned Trump against the failed war on drugs and said, "I'm not here to say your position is legalize drugs or anything else, but I don't think we should criminalize those types of things, and we shouldn't let those states, we should let the states decide." So you're even seeing pushback from the, like, you know, some of the most evil people on earth, the Koch brothers, even they're against Jeff Sessions' war on drugs. You know, that's how far we've come. Even the people that normally, you know, most pot smokers in general, but not all, are considered to be liberal. And if you're liberal or even moderate on either side of the thing, you know, you definitely know that the Koch brothers pour a lot of dark money into politics and were, you know, responsible for Citizens United and some of the other things that have caused some of the messed up laws, both cannabis and non-cannabis related, what we have in the United States right now, as well as some of the ridiculous, you know, people that have been put into power, Jeff Sessions, because of some of their funding. But it's nice to see even they're more progressive on it, you know, at this point. So, you know, it's not something that you know, who would have thought that even 5 years ago?
Tell you what, that's pretty cool. I mean, when the money starts believing in something, or not, I'm not wasting money fighting it anymore, I think that's going to be a big kind of really explode. But they probably have something they know about how they're going to make billions off of it being legal too. So,
yeah.
I happened to see this article early on in the week, and when I saw it, the only word that I said was "wow."
Right.
Just crazy.
Yeah, it's really crazy. One thing I wanted to also mention, I apologize if you guys can hear the fans in the background. It is hotter than hell here in Southern California. It was 103 as of like an hour ago here where I am. So I'm trying to not melt in the heat here. So
Sounds like your audio is coming through pretty good, Steve.
Yeah, I don't hear any problems, Steve.
okay. I know Fish Ganja guy is also melting. He's also in SoCal, so.
Yeah, it was 105 over here today and 109 the other day.
Oh man.
It's better than Arizona.
Who we got watching live today?
Yeah, so we have Mr. Slowski says hi in chat. Hello, Mr. Slowski.
What up, Slowski?
If anyone else in chat has a question, feel free to ask questions. We will answer them. Or if you guys have feedback, I'd love to save people's feedback in chat as well. So the next article we have here is Alaska marijuana panel to revisit on-site weed consumption. The Alaska Marijuana Control Board is set to reconsider a wide range of proposals for licensed businesses to allow marijuana on site. So this would allow things like bars or pool halls. I'm sorry, you can't have pool tables or darts or televisions. You can only have couches, chairs, or coffee tables, which is kind of boring. But it doesn't ban board games. So, you know, you could totally do like Friday night Magic, man, is totally cool.
So they're not saying, hey, you can't have alcohol and weed in the same place and get way too screwed up. That's cool. You can have those in the same place, but you can't have fun. You can't have no pinball machines. We know what you stoners do.
It doesn't say pinball machines. It just says pool tables, dart games, or televisions. So arcades would totally be fine. There's nothing on here that says arcades would be illegal. So you could totally do like a weed arcade. In fact, that would be super cool. I would totally go to Alaska.
That would be so dope.
Wait, but why no pool tables? I'm really struggling.
Yeah, that is a really bizarre. Like, what are people gonna bet eighths? Oh no, yeah, I'm gonna bet an eighth of weed on this game, and that's gonna like really screw shit up.
I'll bet a gram, but I'm not confident enough to bet an eighth.
All right.
I have a take on why it might be being in the, have been involved in the food and beverage industry.
You know what, the cash are involved?
No, well, pool tables are owned by a company that basically sometimes holds the lease on the frickin' bar. So you basically, let's just not want to push it too hard, but you could kind of consider almost like organized crime would be involved in the businesses if there are pool tables in there, because nobody can you almost cannot have your own pool tables, and everybody calls an amusement company. Then amusement company puts all the machines and the pool tables in, and that means you got a third party with a vested interest, and that might be the problem right there.
Huh. That's an interesting point. I never would have thought of that.
The organized crime, yeah. Huh. Well, I've been around a lot of bars where they got these well, I play music in bars. I mean, I play guitar, so that's why I had that idea. But I've seen them. It's funny as hell. They got these poker machines. They throw dollars in, and you can win a bunch of money. You can lose your whole paycheck. And they sneak them in, and they use them, and then they get a call. Yep, they're coming around, and everybody truck backs up, and they load them all out in the back of a box truck and haul house, and then they get inspected, and then they bring them back. So, and the pool tables are owned by the same people. So anyway, my point of view on that, maybe. I mean, as a thought.
So, but yeah, just kind of crazy. Some of the ridiculous things they put, and some of the ridiculous regulations. But there's a really good article near the end here on how to fight some of that stuff. Someone put a lot of thought into it and came up with some pretty cool solutions. So that's coming up later in the show. So the next one we have up is Montana hemp farmer can't irrigate her hemp crops because of federal rules. So because hemp is technically considered a federally restricted drug still, the federal water bureau, or whoever the hell it is, the control Bureau of Reclamation, is withholding her water because they consider it that she's growing a Schedule 1 substance. This article is from the cannabis.co, so it was the last one. Forgot to cite those.
Oh wow, yeah. So that's Montana, huh?
Yep, this is up in Montana.
Well, shit, we need to get a letter out to Robert Redford. I can't believe he's not a decent enough guy to work on something like this.
There you go. Write him a letter.
He owns the whole damn state practically, isn't it, Montana?
Oh, I don't know.
I might write him a letter. Yeah. I don't know what his stand is on this. Does anybody know?
They invested about $6,000 into this year's crop, and rain provided enough water to germinate. But now that it's summertime, she needs water, and the irrigation.
Wow.
Helena Valley Irrigation District on Thursday denied her eligibility on federal legal grounds.
Wow. That's like the bank closing.
That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Here's just an everyday farmer. She's not growing weed. She's not trying to make people high. You can smoke that whole field, you won't get high. There's not enough THC in it.
You'll get sick. You have a headache.
Yeah, you'll get sick and a headache, but you won't get high. So, I know when we used to work on the hemp farm back in Colorado, we tested a bunch of shit. We did a 4-acre plot, and they caught some of the neighborhood kids with a whole bunch of buds they were running down the street with in the dark because the dogs went off, and the dogs chased the kids down and ran them down into like the field, and then they chased them all the way over, and the kids hopped into the thing where the rams were, and the ram basically beat the shit out of them because he's very territorial. So we found these two beat up teenagers and had to restrain the ram. And then there was this weed all around them, but it wasn't weed. It was just the colas off the hemp. And they're too dumb to know that it wouldn't even get them high. And they just got their ass kicked by a sheep for no reason. So it was really funny, and they learned their lesson. But, it was
That's
one of those funny things that happens on a hemp farm,
That's a shame, though. That's really a shame. Here we go again. But
I know. Here's this poor farmer just trying to do the right thing, trying to, grow a profitable crop, and they're screwing it over for no reason.
And that is a local organization doing that, but they're doing it because the federal laws they have to go by. So it's kind of bad on. I'd have to bet that those people at that organization that are holding her water may not really believe in it, but that's what the federal law says, and they get kind of in a touchy situation where they lose their job if they didn't enforce that federal law. And that's a tough thing. We got to get federally. This is things that have to be changed on a federal level. That it's just the local levels will be fine once the federal level is ironed out and we get some kind of break there. But well, we're not going to go off sideways on Jeff Sessions, but we know whose fault it is.
Oh, we'll get to Jeff Sessions later. We're pretty much going to talk about him every week until he's gone, because he's in the news every fucking week now. Yeah. Like, there isn't a day that goes by where there isn't an article that I see in my news feed, on one of my news feeds about him, or some bullshit he said or bullshit he's trying to pull, or someone's telling him to fuck off, or some states suing or changing their state laws to protect their industry, or something involving his name almost always. But yeah, so for anyone curious, it's the Helena Valley Irrigation District is the one that's doing this. So if you're don't think it's right, definitely look them up on Google, give them a call, or send them an email, or write them and tell them that you think it's wrong, and that this poor lady should be allowed to grow her hemp. She's not trying to grow weed; she's just trying to grow hemp. This isn't right.
Especially all you fans up there in Montana.
Yeah, I know we have there's a handful of conservative people that listen to the show, and states' rights and all. Like, this is a states' rights issue. This is a farmer's issue. This is just them picking on an everyday, farmer just trying to pay her bills, So this is not right.
Yep, more government intervention into one's part. You buy your land so the government can come and tell you what you can do on it, and whether you can have the water that comes out of the ground. For fuck's sake. Colorado's like that too.
So this one's kind of a mixed article. So basically, for anyone that does, I guess to preface this article, basically there's a bunch of different advocacy groups that are trying to come together to get a national CBD oil legalization bill, because again, there's no reason why CBD oil should be over the counter in every single drugstore in the country. It's completely safe. There's no reason, can't get you high, doesn't affect your motor skills. There's no reason why it should be not in every single grocery store. You know what I mean? This is ridiculous. But basically, there's a couple of different bigger groups. But one of the groups is Charlotte's Web. So Charlotte's Web, is pretty famous CBD cannabis company. They also have a huge private lobbying firm that they fund that goes state by state and tries to make it, and they've successfully done this in multiple states, so that they're the only strain that's allowed to be grown. And they basically, the Stanley brothers, force themselves into a complete state monopoly on all production within the state, which is, as we all know, complete bullshit. So a lot of people in the industry, me included, don't like them at all. Not to mention their genetics aren't that great anymore. There's lots of different strains that are far superior to Charlotte's Web at this point. So, now you couldn't say that 5 years ago when they hit the market, but, nowadays it's not even close. So, why, they're just kind of now this big evil corporate, cannabis monster that is gobbling, trying to force monopolies in certain areas, which I think we can all agree should not happen.
Well, isn't it? Whatever happened to the law about no monopolies? And now it seems like everything's becoming a monopoly.
Here, let me give you an example. So just to because now that I've said that, what do you guys think the name of the bill is? It's called the Charlotte's Web Medicinal Access Act of 2017.
What's wrong with that?
It sounds like they're catering to the
crooked as fuck, because it just makes it so that only that strain's legalized instead of all CBD strains, or any cannabis below a certain THC threshold was how it should be. And realistically, it should be below like 3%. Even 3% THC won't get you high, hardly, if at all. Even if you make it into a concentrate, You know, they should allow it to be higher than 0.3%. You know, even maybe up to 1% would be more reasonable. Especially because you get a tiny amount of phenome variation, especially when you're hitting all your notes and you're really cranking them. You know, you really have your plants dialed in. Sometimes they'll occasionally, you know, push over. So, especially when you get them super frosty with the CBD strains, CBD only strains.
Hey, that gold leaf is pretty good CB strain. I'm telling you, I'm pretty impressed with it.
Nice. What's up, Dutch Grower 420? What's up, Jose Morales? Thanks for joining us.
I'm trying to get to the chat so I can monitor that a little too. So give me a
Welcome,
second.
guys. Welcome.
That's cool. I'm always got them all open before the show, so.
Well, like it's harder for me, you know, with my eyes.
Because your eyesight.
But you know, it's kind of cool. I keep typing on the wrong damn keyboard too. That's the other thing.
So that last article was from the cannabis.co. This next article is also from the cannabis.co. So this was what I thought was, I almost wonder if we should save this for the end as like the fucked up thing of the week. Let's do that because I don't have a fucked up thing of the week.
Okay.
So we'll make this last. I couldn't find a good fucked up thing of the week this week. All right.
Oh, you just cut it and moved it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes, we're on 9 then.
All right, so the next one will be the New York one. So effective immediately, doctors, nurses, practitioners, and physician assistants can register online and certify cannabis patients same day in New York. Officials say it will help streamline and simplify the registration process for medical professionals. The health department has also approved the measure. So yeah, they just passed a new bill that'll basically dramatically streamline how quickly patients can get registered. The state of California, or New York, I'm sorry, already has 22,000 registered medical patients. They think that, or they have since the beginning of the year, they've already had an additional 7,504 patients registered. So they're expecting quite a few more now with the new streamline. One of the bigger sellers up there is, oh, I'm sorry, never mind. That's just an ad. We'll fix it. Hate it when they do that. They try to tie in the thing. Alrighty, what did I do here? Let me kick over it. So, it's one of my favorite fat fucks. So this is Chris Christie says, legal marijuana hearing is a dog or pony show. I'm not changing my mind on cannabis. So they basically twice now, or this will be like the second time I think it is, that they'll have sent him a bill to legalize cannabis, and he finally bent on medical marijuana, but now he won't. They're trying to legalize cannabis altogether, and he's basically vowing to veto it. So
is that still Christie? Isn't he New Jersey governor?
Chris Christie. Yep.
Well, he won't ever get elected president acting like that.
Chris Krispy Kreme.
Doesn't have a heart attack?
Christie.
Fat ass.
The lap-banded bastard. I hate him so much. He has hurt so many people in that state. Like, it's insane. Not to mention the whole bridge thing. Anyways.
I was born there. I never lived there, but I was born there.
Yep, it's an interesting place. I used to go there all the time for, go to the beach and stuff when I was younger. So.
The Jersey Shore.
The legislation would have legalized up to an ounce of flower, 16 ounces of marijuana-infused products and solids, 72 ounces of liquids, and 7 grams of concentrates. It would prohibit home cultivation. It also would have had a regulated, it would have a sales tax from 7 to 25% over 5 years to encourage early participation. Now that's a good idea. The whole scaled increased tax rate to allow companies to get adjusted and have an easier launch. That's not a bad idea.
You lost me when you said prohibited home cultivation.
Oh yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah, there's no way I would ever sign off on something like that.
No, I'd never vote for something like that. And again, this is why people, and I preached this hardcore before Amendment 64 was passed. You have to read the bylaws. You have to read the legalization bills. Don't blindly vote because it says legalization bill, you know, and definitely go out and preach against it if it's wrong. If it doesn't allow home grows, it's wrong. If it gives a huge amount of weight to local municipalities, you need to make sure that that can be amended in the bill after the fact, or, you know, lobby your congressman, you know, your state congressman or state senator to have that amended, you know. But there's a few things that you have to make sure that, you know, they can't, you know, deny them. Definitely allow them to, you know, adjust up to 4 or 5 times for zonings, you know, if they want to increase the distance for schools to, you know, half a mile or something, or 3/4 of a mile, that's fine, whatever. For churches, cool, whatever, you know, like, but be reasonable. Don't ban it all outright. Not to mention, you're only hurting your schools and your homeless shelters and your tax fund for your local town. You know, people are buying weed in your town anyway. You know, you're silly if they aren't. If not, they're just gonna, the town next to you is gonna make the money instead. So you're only hurting your own local community.
Yeah, or state or whatever. Yep, it's unbelievable too that they constantly want to do that. And the easiest way to just work it out for everybody is to let them grow their own. They don't have to go anywhere and buy it. Doesn't have to be anything shady going on. And we know for a fact that they can grow excellent stuff with the advice of all of us and all our other people in the industry that are on forums teaching for free and stuff like that, along with the classes. I think it's real important if you got a few bucks to take one of these classes, because you will learn a lot more in a short period of time. Actually talking to a grow expert that's very knowledgeable and seasoned professional in the industry than you will from a bunch of idiots on a free forum, you know, cannabis forum, although they're very, very helpful, and a lot of people have benefited from a lot of them. Hell, I run one, but ours is
grow show. I mean, there's that too.
Yeah, you just listen to my podcast and the Do Grow show and the Growers Roundtable and House Church, and, you know, what is it? What's the guy in Colorado Springs? The something grow from the heart.
Yeah, grow from your heart podcast. Rasta Jeff, I think his name is.
Yeah, Rasta Jeff, and then who else is out there for weed podcast? That's most of the bigger ones. I'm sure we're forgetting somebody. I don't mean to offend anyone.
Get Rasta Jeff on one night on Thursday. Yeah.
I'm trying
Thursday's an excellent show. My friends love it, Steve. All you guys, they're blown away. All right, I'll let you go.
Trying to get Grow Guru and the dude on the show. So
I asked Robert to come on,
pester them.
but I hadn't heard back. So
pester them. Anyways, we'll get back to the articles. Stop being so silly. We always smoke before the show, so don't mind. We get out nice and fluffy.
We always have breaks too to have fun. We got to have fun, right? I mean,
what you mean, weed, white boy? I'm sober right now.
Oh, yeah. That's your fault. So what's the next story? Do I need to go out and see?
Nevada regulators are going to allow medical marijuana dispensaries to sell their excess inventory as recreational sales if they have if there's some kind of screw up with the licenses or anything, as far as sales go in Nevada for the first. So there's 25 medical dispensaries in the Vegas area and 4 in Reno that would qualify for this. So they'd be able to basically sell stuff they've already produced from medical immediately on the rec market, which would be super easy for them. And they've already factored in the price of, for the recreation, for the medical. They'll end up making out like bandits on that one.
Well, that should work out good for them. That's good. Nice to hear they're catching a break for a change somewhere.
Yep. But apparently this new thing allows them to do that.
Yeah, they spend so much money to get started, and then they get screwed by the municipality and the state. And the federal government could blow in and ruin their whole life. It's sad, but that's a good story. Another good, happy story.
There's still the whole clusterfuck involving the alcohol wholesalers having the sole pot distribution licenses for 18 months, which is completely fucking ridiculous. Like, the alcohol industry needs to survive on its own and not, try to rely on the cannabis industry as a crutch to support its industry. That's just bullshit. They have nothing to do with. They just have nothing to do with cannabis. There's no reason why they should play any part of this at all. None whatsoever.
Right. And they've been fighting it. The alcohol industry has been fighting legalization of cannabis.
And in Nevada,
forever.
tooth and nail, really hardcore. Like they've dumped millions and millions in dollars to fight it, and then now to try and scrap off even a little tiny chunk for themselves now.
Yeah, because there's money involved again.
Right now they have the transport licenses, I think it is, right? Isn't it? Distribution licenses. I'm sorry, distribution, not transport. So, anyways, it's freaking crazy.
It's getting things are getting legalized, and now the alcohol industry and the tobacco industry all want their piece of the pie.
Yep. So those last two articles are both the cannabis.co. So is this one. They just happen to have a lot of good articles this week. A little more so, but the second half of the show we got a bunch of other stuff. But Massachusetts Senate's planned marijuana overhaul approved overwhelmingly. This would allow you to grow up to 12 plants in a household, mostly focused on regulatory issues. It also raises the tax rate from 12% to 28%, which honestly is ridiculous. Like, come on, really, 30% tax almost? Like, what else do we charge a 30% tax on?
That sounds like California almost.
Like, I'm curious, what else do we have a 30% tax on?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot.
On a related subject, did anybody happen to see Chance the Rapper's accepting speech of the humanitarian award last night?
No. Go ahead.
No. Well, he talks about he mentions in his speech how he just says y'all need to let everybody out of jail for selling weed before y'all start legalizing weed and making capital off of it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how we all feel, and that's exactly what we talk about on every episode. Just like how we talk about on every episode how you should not support a law that doesn't have home grow. Yep. We just happen to always wheel it back around to those two things every episode, and those because they're very important.
Yep. And making sure that they don't have the power to have local insane regulations. Like, what does Marty talk about for at least 20% of every episode he's on? The ridiculous shit going on in Oregon.
Yeah.
Seriously. So this is why these things are important, and why this is why we touch on different things. Like I'll give you another example because I'm going through this right now. There's a local municipality that I'm trying to acquire, working with a company to try and acquire a cannabis license with in California, and they are working on their final legalization bill, or like regulations, as far as tax rate for the local township and stuff. Anything between 0.5 and 5% is reasonable, but anything beyond that, they're going to just screw you. Like, you're going to have a hard time competing in the market because you're going to have, say for example, Massachusetts. Okay, so you have a 28% tax on your cannabis, and then you have to tack on another 5%, or was it Sacramento, I think it is, or maybe it was San Jose. One of the two wants to do like 10%. So then that would make it 38% tax. Whereas you have another town over that's maybe 1% or 2%, and people are only going to pay maybe 30% tax total or 31% tax total. So who are they going to go buy from? That little bit extra gas money, the extra $5 in gas money, if they're buying $200 worth of product, is worth it for them. So people don't realize that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. The greed just comes out every time cannabis gets legalized somewhere. They try to make it all about the money for the state and eliminate the home grow, and fuck that, basically, is the point I'm getting at.
Yep. I think I've come up with something that might be taxed 30%. Isn't gasoline taxed like that?
I think gas might be the only thing that's taxed even close.
Yeah. Because they always talk about how they only make pennies on the dollar because they pay so many taxes, All
right, guys, I got to cut out. I just pulled up to my final destination. I will talk to y'all soon, and see you Thursday.
Enjoyed having you, Fish.
Later, boys.
Later.
Later. Take care. See you tomorrow.
That was Fish Ganja Guy for everybody out there.
Yep. Him and I are gonna go. Man, you guys are gonna like what the video content we got coming for you tomorrow.
Hey, if they let you do stuff and they'll set up a hangout, send me a link. I'll watch in the middle of the day, anytime.
Yeah, it'll be it'll be sometime between 1 p.m. and 3:30 or so. I gotta double check with them.
Your time, right?
Pacific time, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So 4 o'clock to 7:30 my time.
Yep. So this next article is pretty enraging. So I guess to go back to explain this whole thing from the beginning. So what was it, last year? I think it was. There was a gentleman named Philando Castile. He was a school like lunch dude and teacher's aide or something like that at elementary school, and he was driving home with his girlfriend, and he got pulled over. Well, he's never been arrested in his life. He has a gun on him, and he has a license for carry a concealed weapon. So he told the officer that he had a weapon on him, and that, he was just telling the officer, just out of courtesy, you are not legally obligated in most states to tell an officer if you have a concealed weapon unless you are detained. But if you are just questioned, you don't necessarily have to tell them in most states. Some states require it, but most states don't. He told the officer that. The officer asked him for identification. When he reached for his identification, the officer shot and killed him for doing what the officer asked him to do. The officer murdered this guy in cold blood. He was a 32-year-old elementary school cafeteria worker with a permit to carry a concealed weapon.
Just to reference this to the people, this is the one that was streamed live by his girlfriend in the aftermath of the shooting.
Yep.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yep. But he was known for having really good one-on-one relationships with a lot of the troubled children at the school, especially children that had mental disorders or maybe were mentally undeveloped. And he would spend time with those kids and, show up at their soccer games. And this guy was stand-up guy and, really a pillar in his community. And a lot of families knew him at the school, and all the children knew him and had personal connections with him. The officer got acquitted a couple days ago, which is fucking psychotic.
You kidding me?
Yeah. And now it turns out after it's over, the cop says that he smelled marijuana, and that was why he feared that he would pull a gun on him, and that was a justification for murdering him.
I believe his quote was somewhere along the lines of, if this man has the audacity to smoke weed with his child in the car, then what does he care about my safety? Yep. When everybody knows if he had any intent on harming the officer, he would not have even said shit about a weapon and just opened up on him, So that's just stupid.
I wish I had more time to keep up with the news during the week, because I would like or get some of the sheets a little earlier, because if I'd have read this earlier in the day, I would have written a rant to go on right now, but I don't want to appear, overzealous. But yeah, I can't even put that.
All of us are enraged about this. I think that goes without saying that this is a fucking travesty and a bastardization of justice. But it's become so fucking normal, which is disturbing as fuck. I've lost 3 friends of mine that I grew up with in Philadelphia over the years to police, and none of them committed a crime, and all 3 of them were executed by police. One of them had a cordless phone in his hand. When he answered the door, the police said it was a gun. They shot and killed him. 8 cops fired on this kid through a fucking screen door. All right? Explain that to me. Kid was a teenager. Not only that, it was a raid. Not only that, it was a raid on the wrong house.
Yeah, they shouldn't be allowed to shoot into a house like that at all, unless they are fired upon. This shoot first, ask questions later mentality went out a long time ago. And there are a lot of cops getting prosecuted now, a lot more than there was, but it's still happening, and that's what's so fucked up. Well, I mean, for fuck's sake, you know.
And the reason
and
why
he was questioning Philando's judgment over cannabis, but who's the one that was sober and fired into the car with the little fucking child in the back seat?
The child and a woman. Yep, the child, a woman in a car, and he's firing into the fucking car.
Right, and that bullet could have deflected off a bone in that fella and killed a child, or a car.
Yeah. I mean, as a cannabis user, it just makes you feel like you're expendable. You know what I'm saying? It just makes you feel like you're just stepped on. You know, I mean, because I believe you posted that to the aquaponic cannabis growers Facebook group.
Yeah,
and when I saw it there, it was just like, what the fuck? You know, it just makes you feel, I mean, discriminated against, you know, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, it just makes them feel like the cops will just hunt you down just because they smell weed. They're perfectly happy just firing into a car regardless of who else in the car with you.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that, I don't know if this is what sold his story to the jury, but the fact that it was even mentioned, you know, I can't see what else would have sold it to the jury. You know what I'm saying? Besides him using a ridiculous argument of he smelled cannabis, so he was like, you know, his judgment's completely impaired, I guess, or whatever. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
They said that they found 6, supposedly, as we all know, cops frequently plant drugs, especially growing up in Philly. They did this shit all the time. Supposedly found 6 grams of weed inside a plastic baggie in his vehicle.
It's just a quarter, you know, that's usage amount. Even so, like I said, it's as every cannabis user in the country should be outraged about that.
Yeah, it's not the death penalty for possession of a quarter ounce. There's no death penalty for that.
Not only that, he wasn't smoking in front of his fucking kids, which we all know. Like, we can all agree you shouldn't be smoking directly in front of your children, or, you know, secondhand smoke is secondhand smoke. You know what I mean? Like, we can all agree to that. Just being responsible, you know, and they don't need to see that shit until they're older. You know what I mean? Once they're old enough to, you know, be responsible, you know, 18 or 21, depending on what country you live in, you know, then you can make those decisions. But the cop says that he must have lied about his marijuana use when he applied for his gun permit, therefore acquired it illegally. As required under federal law, Minnesota's permit carry application, the applicant must not be an unlawful user of controlled substance, as defined by Chapter 152 of the Minnesota statutes. So they claim that his firearm was illegal under those grounds, and that was justification for shooting him.
Oh my God.
Because he was a marijuana user. So if you
They'll
don't
do
have
everything
a reason
they can to justify their actions.
If you don't have a reason to be fucking fired up and pissed off at cops about some of the shit they pull with weed, this is by far the most offensive thing damn near the most offensive thing I've ever fucking seen. Like, this is just fucking crazy. I don't mean to be cursing so much, but like, God damn it, dude, this is psychotic. Like, they executed this guy in front of his wife and child for over nothing. Absolutely nothing. Over complying with the officer.
Now, see, that's amazing when they let him off, and that was way even more blatant than the guy where the woman officer in Ohio, I think it was convicted a couple of weeks ago for shooting that dude in the middle of the interstate that was reaching inside his truck to get a gun. And she was proven guilty. Now, I would think she could have shot the hell out of him like she did, but they kept telling him to stop, and he kept going back to his window and reaching in the fucking window. That's how you get shot. And then this guy is sitting in the car, reaching, you know, it's unbelievable. Alpha Omega decisions on this, the same kind of situation. Well, no, not with the marijuana, but it's just the fact that she was convicted. and he wasn't convicted. That should blows my shit away.
Well, because they don't care. The cops have free reign to murder whoever they want, and it all comes back to, and as I was starting to talk about earlier, this goes back to the militarization that happened under the Bush administration. That's when they got all the overflow guns and all the overflow toys and the half tracks and the fucking, you know, Bearcats and all the fucking shit that they have no fucking right using in the fucking U.S. population. And you know, they all got assault rifles and just, you know, completely over fucking armed for this normal population of the United States. There's no fucking reason for it, you know. And then once they have all the toys, then they act. We all know this because there's 1,001 times where this has been experimented on. When you give them those kind of extra fucking power like that, they fucking abuse it, and they, you know, and that's exactly what's happening right now. And then you have the court system, which is just a fucking joke that lets them murder anyone they want with impunity. Especially if you're not white.
Yeah, I was trying to stay off of that side of it, but that's true. That's true.
No, it's the honest truth.
It is the truth. It is the truth. I just feel like everybody always says it, so I was not going to say it. But since you said it, yeah, I agree 100%.
No, and I don't mean that negative to anyone, but it's, you know, it's the truth.
Well, except the cops that are killing the minorities that you mean it negative.
I have a friend of mine that was a friend of mine is an African American gentleman. And he was attacked by a couple of racists, or, well, super racist rednecks, all drunk at like 1:30 in the morning. Him and a friend of mine.
White supremacists.
Yeah, white supremacists, basically. There was 5 of them against 2 of them, okay? One of the white supremacists had a pretty sizable metal, like, aluminum bat, okay? My buddy in the 2-on-5 disarmed the dude with the bat and just proceeded to play baseball with the rednecks and took down all 5 of them. The 2 of them won the fight. I mean, they got their ass whooped, but they won. And we, especially once he got a hold of that bat, because this kid was a football player. So the cops arrested both of them, charged them with assault with a deadly weapon and all this other shit when they disarmed them in an outnumbered fight and used it solely because they were attacked first. That's fucking bullshit. And they didn't, you know, they didn't kill any of the dudes. The only one of them spent more than a week in the hospital. It's just ridiculous.
What state was
violence
that
in any way. This happened in Philadelphia years ago, but it was just a matter of like someone just defending themselves when they're attacked at night because of their skin color, and they're prosecuted because of after being the victim. And it's fucking bullshit.
Double standard for stand your grounds, I guess.
It happens all over the United States. And people still think it doesn't happen. They think just because we had a black president, there's no, it doesn't happen. And you know, on something else, in fact, let me bring this up because I'll leave him anonymous because he probably doesn't want me mentioning the fact that he sent this to me because he's a prominent aquaponic dude. But there's just a thing in the Guardian .co this week. We'll cover this as a news article. Fuck it. About and let me paste this in the chat so you guys have it too. About the racism in the cannabis industry. I'm gonna paste this. It'll be in 24, guys.
All right. What number are we on right now? Where were we at?
Just for this article, because we're on the topic, it's gonna be in line 24.
Row 24. Where are we actually at in the numbers? I was gonna ask you so since you brought it up.
Oh, next up will be 13 when we get to it.
Okay, that's where I was at, kind of, but I wasn't sure. Okay, we got off base a little, so okay.
For now, it's 24. But basically, there's very little minority representation in cannabis company ownership, and a lot of it has to do with traditionally racist laws. I mean, you have a 4 times chance of being arrested for cannabis possession if you're non-white than a white person just in the United States, and it's just how it is. It's not right. It's fucked up. It's got to end. You know, there's no fucking reason for this shit anymore. But there's a really good article on the Guardian where they cover all about how this has been going on for a long time. I was reading this earlier today. But there's only like 6 prominent companies that are owned by African Americans as far as cannabis companies that are over, I forget how many millions of dollars. and value versus, you know, everyone else. So it's really, well, it is coming together in some places like Southern California. Other areas, it's still, you know, extremely one-sided. So, and this is stuff that has to end. But putting someone like Jeff Sessions in power, who do you think he's going to crack down on first? The guy that was too racist to be a federal judge during the Reagan administration. You know?
It's pretty hardcore.
Too racist for Reagan, man.
Too racist
That's
for them.
Probably too racist for Nancy. That's probably
Yep.
what it was.
I mean, that's a pretty high standard right there.
Wow.
But shout out to him if he's listening to the show. He knows who he is. Thanks a lot, bud. I won't mention you just because you're kind of a closet stoner. As you know, it's funny. I won't say who it is, but there's 4 or 5 really famous aquaponics farm owners that I've talked to in the last couple of years about aquaponic cannabis growing and weed and stuff, and I've smoked with that you wouldn't really you wouldn't guess that they smoke weed if you knew them, or they'd never admit to it in person. Right. Or, you know, it's kind of funny. But whenever I meet them or whatever, they're like, "So, got any of that AP weed? You know, for my wife or husband or dog?" So.
Yeah, you do have to be careful when you are in the agricultural industry. You do have to watch what you're doing. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, it's more just where you do it, I guess.
Yeah, because I basically the same thing. You know, I have to be careful and talk to. I talk with people from universities and people from the South Carolina Department of Agriculture and even USDA people occasionally. You know, when they come around with some kind of new idea about how to help everybody out. You know. So you have to kind of be, yeah. But I tell you what, I guarantee you, if you ask me, it doesn't surprise me that these people smoke. Yeah, because it's a pretty open-minded world we're in now. We're getting to the age, at my age especially, where there's so many people my age. I mean, let's face it, we're the old people now, and we smoke. Okay, we don't always look. Well, I do maybe, but the majority of people my age don't look like me. They look like they don't smoke. You're right. I know what you mean. Anyway, so moving on.
Yeah.
So, do we want to move to the Vermont house deal? What's going on here in Vermont?
So, sorry, I'm trying to fix this. 3 seconds. Okay. Vermont House has blocked a bill into consideration for legalization for recreational use for this year. You won't have a chance to vote again until it's August or September. Lawmakers refused to take up a bill Wednesday. If one approval in the Senate vote earlier in the day, and just wasn't able to pass the House in Vermont, so they're gonna have to wait a little while longer to get legal weed. So. On a separate note, did you guys see that? What is it? Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, and Loretta Lynch are all under investigation now. I thought that was kind of funny.
No, I did miss that.
I did not see that.
Yeah, so that was interesting.
For what? What are they?
All different stuff. Each one's something different.
Even Bernie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
His was his wife, I think. Not actually him, but she screwed up on some paperwork, or they're trying to make her look bad or something. They don't want him to run again, I think is what it is.
Smear campaign.
Right. So the next article is Marijuana Policy Project bank account is being closed amid Department of Justice fears of a crackdown. This is also from the cannabis.co. So is the last one. So PNC Bank, which has had an account with the Marijuana Policy Project for 22 years, is closing their accounts because they're fearing a federal crackdown.
Oh, so they're doing it.
The bank is closing their accounts, or they're closing their own accounts?
No, the bank is closing the accounts.
Yep.
So they have until the end of the month to withdraw their money and get out.
But that happens all the
sorry.
time. That's nothing new.
Let
If
me-
you got, I mean, it sucks, but that's happening right and left.
Yep, this is happening all over, and it's kind of quietly happening right now, and a lot of
It
people don't
happened to
talk about it.
Aquaponic Dummy. It happened to Aquaponic Dummy. They shut down his business as a bank account because he had an aquaponic store.
Yep. In fact, there was
Yeah, I remember him mentioning that on the show.
Yeah.
I know other people that have had their PayPal account. PayPal. Was it PayPal?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, not PayPal. What's
Well,
the
they do.
website that everyone uses? No, you can use PayPal for some cannabis related stuff. What's the
Some,
yeah,
not
some
seed.
stuff. You can't sell seeds or product. Yes. What is the there's another one out there. What's the website that people use? It's like a website builder website. It's popular.
GoDaddy?
No, not GoDaddy. Well, GoDaddy will too, yeah, but GoDaddy won't let you sell weed, even weed classes. There's GoDaddy, and there's another one that shut down one of the sites I was doing classes with recently. I'm trying to remember who it was. And they have like a really slick website for just setting up websites. I can't remember the name of it. Anyways, there's a couple different websites out there right now that'll make it. You can set up your website, and then they'll fuck you 10 minutes later, or half a month into your system of your website running. So you got to be careful, and it's kind of tricky sometimes to set up a cannabis business, and really, even if you're not selling products, even if you're just selling education and nutrients or a grocery store, you can still be targeted. I know Dummy wasn't even selling cannabis, and he was targeted. So
Yeah.
he just had a grocery store.
The bank just came down and looked at his store, and 2 weeks later he got a notice saying they could no longer do business with him.
Yep.
And come get your money.
Yep.
So it's sad because now you got people out there with a whole bunch of money that would be prey to low lives that want to steal, thieves, and
Yep.
people that would take advantage and even kill people just for some money. And
Yep.
so that's what's really fucked up about this. So there, I can cuss for once, So
Yeah, everybody got their cussing out tonight. It's cussing day.
yeah, so well, that's the kind of thing to cuss about when people's livelihood and life is on the line because of some stupid archaic law. That's a total lie from the beginning. It was always a lie. It's a lie now. It's not. It can't be a class 1 narcotic. It can't be subject to whatever the hell it is. It can't be if it has medicinal properties, and you basically can't any longer say it does not have medicinal qualities or properties. So that by law, the written law, it should not be federally illegal under that statute.
Yep.
It's just okay. I'm not going to cuss anymore. All right.
And on top of that, like the Marijuana Policy Project, they don't work with any cannabis products at all. They're just basically a legalization lobbyist firm. They're much more than that, but for intensive purposes, they basically lobby and help lobby to get cannabis policy changed on state and local levels.
Oh, I'm a member there. I'm a member.
So,
I didn't realize you were talking about Marijuana Policy Project. I joined there way back when I was working for Cannabis.com. Yep.
Yeah, so they're one of the oldest groups doing that. That's been publicly doing it. They've been doing it for 22. I forget how old the organization is, but their bank accounts with PNC are 22 years old. So for them to suddenly pull out on them like that is just freaking ridiculous.
Oh, so I see.
Yeah, they're just cutting out one of the resources, one of the most important resources of one of the toughest opponents for the opposers of cannabis.
Right. One of the biggest actually, that probably is the biggest advocacy group out there. They
definitely have chapters all around the country and people that travel all around the country to go. And I'm actually kind of familiar with the one here in the state where I live.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alrighty. And that was the last article from the cannabis.co. All the articles between that and the first article, except this first article, were all from the cannabis.co.
Yes, sir.
So the next article comes from the Montreal Gazette. I love Montreal. It's my favorite city in North America. So LGC Capital, a Canadian investment firm registered in Montreal that works with Cuban businesses, it's become the first cannabis company publicly traded to grow and export cannabis for the global market. They plan to set up shop in South Africa and export to the southern African continent as well as internationally. So kind of interesting to see. I don't really hear much about cannabis in Africa, so.
We've got a couple members from down there. Over there. Yeah, I've got some members from that. It surprises me where I get members. We get a lot more international members at my site since it's based out of the Netherlands than we do on American cannabis sites. I got people from the Middle East, you know, a whole bunch of Aussies and people from New Zealand, South Africa. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. We have a member from which doesn't surprise. So it doesn't surprise me they're doing that. We have a member that lives in Tehran, and from what I could tell, he lives right across the grass pitch or park, right in front of the British Embassy in Tehran.
Nice. There's a guy that listens to the Thursday show every week because I can see on the analytics he's written in 3 or 4 times. He's in Jordan and he's growing secretly, and if he gets caught, he'll be beheaded.
Yeah,
he's a huge fan of the show.
That's kind of how
Holy shit.
What do they do?
Yeah, let's make sure.
That I'm aware of.
Yeah, so we're not mentioning.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to mention his name or remotely where he is, but you know, I'll just mention that we have a viewer from that country that watches almost every episode, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
We did have a quick question from chat. Chicken Hole asks, Aloe has worked great on my clones. Ever try that, Steve? It's funny you mentioned that. I've tried all different kinds of stuff for cloning. We don't normally talk about gross stuff, but I'll quick answer your question real quick.
It's a Thursday night show.
Yeah, it's more of the Thursday night show. But as far as cloning goes, what I've actually been doing lately is I have this flood and drain bed set up that I have. It's a pretty. I set the plumbing up so that it's super fast to flood and drain really quickly, and I've just been sticking them straight in the media beds, and I'm getting really good roots in like a week. So, I'm not complaining. I can get 4 to 6 inch roots in a week, so week and a half, can't complain. So, and that's using nothing. So a tiny little bit of cloning gel just to cap it off, and that's it. So, no, that's fine. That's totally cool. We try to keep the gross stuff more to the Thursday show, and the Monday show is more of a news show. So that's all.
Yeah, I think we've gotten a grow question pretty much every Monday episode.
Oh yeah, well, 1 or 2 is okay. That's fine, as long as we're not, people gotta learn, and we'll still help educate people. So it's all good.
You can always have a little grow question every week. That's a good idea, actually. So.
Should do like a sponsored thing or something and get like a someone to do like a giveaway each week or something. That'd be kind of cool. We used to do that, and then we just haven't been able to do. I'm gonna work on once we get settled up in the new place and I can set up a little studio in the greenhouse and everything. I'll work on snazzing up the podcast a little bit here in the next couple of months.
That'll be fun.
So Edmonton, Canada, this is from marijuana.com. Edmonton, Canada is looking to pass a law that would allow for cannabis smoking lounges on the day of legalization in Canada next year. This would be super cool because there's people come when they hear the place is legalizing. People come from all over and need a place to smoke. You usually can't smoke in your hotel. You can't smoke out on the street. You get a fine. So, it's kind of hard to find a place unless you sneak off into like a park or someplace, but then you're still risking getting arrested or at least a fine, and just annoying. So it'd be really awesome if people would have a place to go, tourists and, even locals that just, don't want to go home or don't want to have it around their kids. Some people just want to go out, grab an Uber or something, go smoke and then catch an Uber home, have someone babysit the kids for the night, or at least for a couple hours and, be responsible. So it's really good to hear about this.
Yeah, that is good. I know a lot of people in Canada are going to be happy to hear that. Because they're kind of hippie on and off up there too. It's not totally, but it's kind of still illegal most of the place in Canada, right? But they tolerate it a lot more in some areas than others. Like they don't.
Yeah. Well, let me put it this way. I may or may not have walked down St. Catherine in Montreal and smoked a joint more than once in my life, and Saint Denis and Saint Laurent and
I know you
Mount
can do
Royal
it in
Park.
Vancouver all day.
Yeah.
You can walk around Vancouver smoking joints in the street. There ain't no problem there. But
Yeah, I mean, but you know what it is? It's nice in Canada. Just don't smoke near children and families, and they don't care, you know?
Oh, yeah, well, there you go. That's true. Okay. Good point.
Be respectful.
Yeah, yeah. So what do we got here? Something's going on in
This
New
next
Zealand.
one is in New Zealand. So they did a big study in New Zealand, and they found that weed is the most common drug that's employees test positive for when they are randomly tested. Gee, I wonder who figured that out. So 80% of positive tests
Right.
drugs in the country of New Zealand involved cannabis. So that was pretty funny.
That almost qualifies.
Breaking news.
Right? I mean, this is like, why anyone spend $1 researching that? This is the dumbest shit ever.
I tell you.
All right, so Oklahoma. This is from jdsupr.com, pra.com, jdsupra.com, whatever that is. Oklahoma might actually be getting legalization, or at least medical legalization, for 2018. Can you imagine that? I mean, we're making strides. We're getting deep into the South now. This is great.
Any details on the law?
So the proposed language of the law would establish a regulatory office, the administration of the program. To task the program would make applications for 1 patient medical marijuana license and 2 licenses for dispensary growers and processors, and by no means a small undertaking. The law would require that dispensary growers and processors maintain 75% ownership by Oklahoma residents, impose 7% tax on all sales. For more information, look up Oklahoma State Question 788. Here's the other bit. So in 2016, there was multiple cannabis ballot initiatives in Oklahoma. So they also think that there's a good chance that this won't be the only one. But to be honest with you, a 7% sales tax is really good. The downside is that that's not enough licenses. That is far too restrictive. I mean, I don't know what their population is, but that doesn't seem like it's remotely capable of handling the population of Oklahoma. They have a few million people there, you know. I don't know how many million. But
how many licenses was it, and what was the percentage on the sales tax?
7%
7% sales tax, which is not bad.
What I liked about this story.
Oh yeah, that's
75%
great. Actually,
ownership is cool.
Yeah, that's what I like. The 75%. They're making sure Oklahomans are going to own 75% of it. Okay,
Yep.
so that is how it should be.
Yep.
I don't have a problem
Exactly.
with somebody
Exactly.
compete, but I don't want it where corporate America can come in here and take over our state, and and all of us are outside having to buy from them.
Like we were talking about earlier, the Charlotte's Web, the Stanley Brothers.
Yeah, exactly. Similar situations.
Corporate cannabis.
Yeah, burr.
But not the good kind.
Okay. Yeah, well.
So, but you know, who would have thought that? I mean, if I had told you that when I was 30 years old, a lot of places in the South were legalizing, at least medical, I would have never believed you. Never believed you. So.
Yeah, totally. I agree. Well, our department, I've mentioned this before in the show, just to end that, you know, the segue out of this, but the head of our Department of Agriculture here has gone to, I mean, he called all the sheriffs of all the counties to a place and had a convention telling them all the possibilities and what could happen positively for the state if that we allowed hemp production and growth of cannabis. He goes, they're making billions out there. Why don't we get it in our state? We literally have that, and they've got bills that are going through. They did the CBD oil thing when they got on the national news, but they were one of those families that were moving across the country. That got caught on it. People were going to leave Charleston and go to I think Charleston might have been Columbia, but one of the cities, and go to Colorado, and all of a sudden, bam! In 3 days, it's the fastest legislation on cannabis or cannabis oil in history. I bet you. I bet it has to be the Guinness Book of World Records for the fastest cannabis legislation. 3 days. You know, new law. And so we got CBD oil, but for epilepsy, you know, seizures and stuff like that. But we don't have anything else. And they're crawling along. It's a conservative Republican state, but somehow I don't get that really, but you know, it is.
Yep.
Sorry. Moving on.
Sorry, I forgot I gotta turn off my ad block to open this ad up. Hold on.
I put you guys to sleep.
No, you didn't. Let me try and run this again here.
You want me to start talking a little bit about the next topic,
Yeah,
or you're still on Oklahoma?
I'm trying to. No.
You see anything? What do you got there?
Legalized marijuana is making it harder for police to search your car.
Good.
The drug experts say that health risks of marijuana use are relatively minor compared to the steep cost of the enforcement. But traffic stops in Colorado and Washington underscore the point. After states legalized pot, traffic searches decline sharply across the board because they can't arrest you for weed no more.
Right, and that's all they're stopping to harass you to try to find some weed or open beer.
Yeah. So basically, the cops are complaining about the lack of fewer seizures of cash and property. Oh no, the highway robbers aren't getting paid as well. Let's all freak out. Maybe they should have to actually solve real crime and try hard at their job. You know.
Yeah, my favorite part is that they present this as an issue. Like, hey, this is a problem, guys.
These are the same people that'll be just as happy to justify having 1,700 rape kits in the closet in the back that aren't processed. But they have money for assault rifles and for armored vehicles and to go bust a pothead, but they can't help out the girls at the local university. It's fucking ridiculous.
Also segueing into the corporate university lack of reporting and taking care of women or young women on the college campuses.
Exactly. You know, this is ridiculous. There's no reason for this. This is insane.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Our small town here, you go to court you go to traffic court here, it's packed. Like the smallest fine's like $486. It's packed, okay, every Tuesday and Thursday or whatever. And the freaking local cops. I mean, we're in a freaking small pass-through town off of a lake, a couple miles off a lake that used to be a booming area, but now it's run like you're in a military zone. And they literally wear riot gear to the fucking court. Our local cops. Of course, you know, I can somehow see why they might think they might get shot or something, but I don't condone that. But it's just amazing to me, just like you said, they're in boots and riot gear when they go to court.
Yeah.
Vests and a whole 9 yards. I mean, they're probably all wearing $10,000 worth of gear.
Or at a protest, they show up ready for a battle. And it's like, well, there's half the reason why people show up ready for a battle too, you idiot.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know who proved that better than anyone else? There's a real famous New York and a real famous Pennsylvania police chief. Man, I can't remember his name. There's a really famous police chief in Philadelphia because you guys know about, I don't know if you guys know about the Move bombing, but after the Move bombing, which was when the police bombed a city block from the air from a helicopter, which actually happened in the United States in the 80s. They actually just bombed a city block in Philadelphia. There was lots of protests later on in the 90s, and he thought, you know, every time we escalate with their gear, they react back. So what if we just went in the crowd and just walked with them and just took off our bulletproof vests, took off everything else, and walked with them with just a normal police uniform on and nothing else, and showed them that I'm not there to combat you. And you know what happened? Levels of violence went down 88% in Philadelphia at protests, even after they bombed a city block.
Yeah.
That's how well it works when you de-escalate a situation rationally. So. Anyway, sorry to get up on a
Yeah, most of the time they're not there to support your voice. They're there to suppress it, and that's one thing that people just don't fucking think about. Them. They don't see this shit for what it really is.
Yep.
So. Exactly. Moving along then.
So the cannabis, or in Canada, they keep tinkering with the legalization bill, and now it's in jeopardy of possibly not even being passing in time. And now everyone's getting worried. And I don't know. I'm not particularly thrilled about this either, but I'm trying to figure out an easy way to condense it down. I read this earlier, and it was a lot to take in. Plus, it was also relevant to some of the projects I'm working on. So,
well, it came from, where did it come from here, Steve? Why don't you give everybody the link? So
I'm sorry. It's from host.madison.com and their business, investments, markets, and stocks section.
There you go. And it's a big read, with a lot of information that they need.
Yeah, it's a very detailed read. But it goes through basically just like the stock stability of companies like Canopy Growth Corp, Afria, Aurora, MedRelief. I'm not calling them out; they're just listed in the article. And says, if there isn't a recreational bill that could pass, they'll be the companies that'll be hurt the first. But there's some of these companies together, between the four of those, there's a couple $1 billion. So it would be pretty crippling to the Canadian economy. It's a huge influx of money that would have been suddenly not crippling, but definitely be a pretty good kick in the ankle.
That's sad. Like we just discussed it a few minutes ago. Canada's up and down, over there, over here.
Yeah, they're still trying to get a breathalyzer part of it as part of the bill, which, again, we all know is bullshit. They can't prove that with science, which is why it keeps being a controversial thing, every year or two when they try it again. But it's not possible. Not to mention that there was someone that I know that is a student of mine at one of my classes just recently. He went for an important job at a tech company. I'll leave it totally anonymous. I won't say which tech company. Went to an interview, did really good at the interview. They gave him a drug test. He hadn't smoked in a month. Guess what his nanograms was when they did or maybe it was a blood test. I forget what it was, but they did some kind of thing, and guess what his nanograms was when they tested him? And he hasn't smoked in a month.
Got me.
No idea. I wouldn't even know where to begin with a guess.
Okay, he was at 88 nanograms. So a lot of police departments want to lobby to make 5 nanograms a DUI. Now, if you do dabs every day, I could. If I do I dab pretty heavily on daily. So if I went and stopped smoking for 3 months, okay, at the end of those 3 months, I could still get pulled over and charged with a DUI despite being sober for 3 months.
Right, that's ridiculous.
Right, so again, completely not based on science. It's just them pulling numbers out of their ass.
Yeah, and just remember, people, for every step of progress that we make, there's somebody around the corner trying to impede that progress.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
here we go.
Alrighty. So this next one's pretty offensive.
We always slow down after topic 20.
Huh? Oh, I saved some controversial ones for the end, just to wait.
Oh yeah, I see. Oh yeah, I know you got some good ones here today, Steve. I'll tell you what.
The last couple we're gonna spend some time on them. So yeah, we're flying through. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4 more articles left, but they're gonna be doozies. So, yeah.
Oh, we're doing
so
too.
This one's a doozy too. Pennsylvania defends choice of medical marijuana grower. Pennsylvania Health are defending their decision to award a coveted medical marijuana grower permit to an affiliate. Minnesota had 2 former executives charged this year was smuggling $500,000 worth of drugs across state lines. That's fucking bullshit. Now, if you're imagine, so just so you guys are aware, because we touched on this before, I think in the last episode before, 200 and some odd companies, I think it was, or no, 2,000 companies applied for permits in Pennsylvania. I think it was in total. 12.
Holy shit, that's a lot.
12.
Yeah. Well,
got permits. 12 of 2,000.
Yeah.
One of those 12 had their executives arrested for smuggling drugs across state lines. That's fucking bullshit. Out of the 1,088 other people, you can't 988 other people, you can't find one other person that's more qualified than these guys. That's when you know that they're paying off your local representatives, and they're paying people off. Yeah,
because you wouldn't be able to have a license or be able to do that if you had a felony.
Exactly.
And smuggling across state lines is a felony.
It's a felony automatically. Yeah, anytime you move something across the state line, that's an automatic felony.
It's a federal. It's federal. It's the FBI comes after your ass then.
Yep. So it's fucking ridiculous that they'll give it to a company like that. So
you can babysit kids without FBI and child line clearance, yet you can smuggle drugs and become a medical marijuana grower for a state.
Well, hey, to be fair,
if you're rich and white,
allegedly, how do we all get started smoking weed, or involved in the weed industry? We all smoked weed. Then maybe we locally distributed locally helped Frolic cannabis in the area where we were in order to help us acquire more for ourselves, and then we went legit then eventually, or we went into growing and then went legit as laws changed, and that's how most of the people got started. So I don't think that we should blindly hold it against if someone's arrested, but when you're actively doing it post legalization while you own a legal cannabis business, you're a fucking idiot, because you're risking your multi-million-dollar business over some selfish ass bullshit and a little bit of quick cash that ain't fucking worth it. In fact, I worked for a dipshit in San Diego that did that shit. That I walked away from the property as soon as I found out he was doing any amount of non stuff on the up and up, and he ended up getting busted later on out of state pretty quickly thereafter. It's just a liability. It's not worth my time. It's not worth me getting arrested. I could give a fuck less about you and your bullshit. It's not worth my time, and it's not worth my liability.
That's the way, yeah, that sounds about right. I was forced into growing myself because the local weed trade was so pitiful that it was like first you have to chase it down to get your meds, and then when you got it, it sucked. You'd have to smoke 3 fucking joints to get a little buzz. And one day, me and the old lady said, we're fucking going to start growing. Of course,
okay.
that turned into weed growing. But,
Okay, so there was 2,000 initial applicants. Of the 2,000 initial applicants, 177 made it to the actual, past the initial, the whatever the entry one was. So out of the 2,000. So 12 of those 107 just joined us.
Oh no, sorry, I took off my headphones. Let me mute.
Okay, sorry about that. Apologize, guys. So out of 177 entries that made it, they all paid $10,000 non-refundable application fee. The state of Pennsylvania made $177 million and then issued 12 permits. They also announced this weekend the state is expected to announce an additional 27 permits to be issued for medical marijuana throughout the state. And we talked about the zone breakdown on that. I think it was last week or the week's episode before. Or the state split up into different zones.
Right. Yeah.
But the guy was smuggling $500,000 worth of cannabis oil out of New York.
Wow.
So,
Wonder who that belonged to.
I was trying to find it. Two former Verero.
Uh-oh. Your mic just went crazy.
Health facility executives.
Your
So
mic,
went
Verero
Health.
out. Okay. Lost you. Your mic is flanged out ever since you started answering that question. If you can hear me well, everything you just said was bang, 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 kind of thing. So I can't really describe that in the chat, but you were telling us that information. It didn't come through.
How about
now? There was still a bounce. So remember that time we had the key? Like as I told you, it sounds like somebody hit the keyboard. Modulation. Well, no, I can hear you now. You there?
Am I good now? Am I good now?
I hear you now. Yep. Sorry, folks, for technical difficulties.
Yeah, sorry. Must have had some lag or something there for a second. I have a pretty good internet connection here. It's a high speed. I mean, I think it's like 75 down, 15 up or something. I mean, it's a pretty good one. It's not like before where I was out in the desert and I had to use my cell phone because that was better. That was literally 4 times as fast as any other connection I could pay to get. So there was no point.
Okay, well, sounds good now. So we've got it tested.
Chicken Hole says I'm half-assed back. Chicken Hole, am I actually back or do I need to reload my browser? Okay. Okay, sorry about that.
Right, so what was that link you were talking about that's when you went out?
So that was from Philly.com, the stuff about Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So I grew up, for those of you guys who don't know, I grew up in Philadelphia, so in the Philadelphia area. So Philadelphia, born and raised. Used to see Jazzy Jeff play this one place down in South Philly. He still plays there kind of regularly, actually. Or used to, anyway. I don't know if he does anymore. It's been a while since I lived in Philly. Alrighty, so this came to us from Roger, actually. Do you want to read it or tell us about it?
What is it, Grower? It came from me?
Yeah, it's the one you sent me on Skype about, what you call it?
No, I'm not even sure. I don't recall this title, so I think you better handle it. Or I'm gonna, me trying to read something live, I think we'd be in trouble.
No, it was the one about the guy from Advanced Nutrients or whatever. Remember what you were talking about?
Oh. Well,
you sent it to me. The Super Bowl or something.
I never go. Actually, well, let me. Why don't you do the next one and let me look at that real quick.
Okay, because this is the link that you sent me, so I figured I'd let you cover it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Oh well. We'll skip that one while you're reading it.
I'll check that out for you.
And we talked about the race thing, so we'll get to this next one because this is one that so we regularly preach on about how important it is that you rail on for local ordinance, against local ordinances. You push for home growing and all these important things. This is something that is as important as those, and it's something we haven't emphasized before. But someone brought this up, and I saw this, and I was like, we got to talk about this on the show. This is too important. So, that being said, basically, the Marijuana Licensing Board in Michigan has to report their finances to the governor of Michigan. What they don't have to do, and what is exempt from, is it's exempt because it's only submitted and disclosed to the governor only. It's exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. This is bullshit. This should absolutely be public knowledge. And let me explain to you why, because this is very relevant in Michigan right now. The controversy comes in May after Rick Scott named a board chair member, and this is from freep.com, freep.com. Thanks for the amazing article. Governor Snyder named a board chairman, former Ours speaker Rick Johnson, who until recently was a Lansing lobbyist. Johnson told the Free Press he worked in the medical marijuana legalization by giving advice about what form of the law should take, but he said he had no client on the legalization and offered advice for free. The law bars lobbyists from being members of the board. Johnson told the Free Press that in May he sold his stake in Dovak Johnson lobbying firm to his partner, former House Speaker Lou Dodak. Under the law, Johnson and other members, plus executive director and other key members, must submit the governor's office a financial disclosure statement listing all assets and liabilities, property and business interests, and sources of income from both themselves and their spouses. And this is important because a lot of these bills, aka some of the shit being pushed by like the Charlotte's Web guys, Stanley Brothers, and some other stuff, are paying off these lobbyists and are paying off these cannabis panels and are paying off these regulatory boards, and it's never being publicly disclosed. So making sure that anyone's involved with any kind of regulatory board is forced to publicly disclose their sources of income absolutely should be part of any kind of medical legalization bill or cannabis legalization bill, because it'll only protect us as an industry, protect growers, and protect cannabis companies and producers.
Right. Got to be that way.
So, and that's something I don't think we've ever touched on in the show, but that is absolutely a bastardization of the legal system and a half, you know? He sells his shares, so now he's not a lobbyist. That's fucking bullshit. You know, there's no reason for that. And I'm sure we'll get Michael McShane back on the show again soon. But Michael McShane is very, very much rails against this in Michigan. He's a very, very big and knowledgeable proponent of Michigan stuff, and we'll get him on the show to explain this a little more in depth sometime soon. He was on the show not too long ago. Go ahead.
I lost it. I was thinking about him being on the show and how that'd be pretty cool, you know, to explain it. I had.
Oh yeah, we'll get him back up.
Yeah.
You know, best news of the whole week, and I can't believe I almost forgot it. So a couple months ago, we did like a little tribute to Dennis Perrone because the doctors said that he was not going to make it. His status 2 days ago was, well, looks like I'm going to live for a while. They were wrong again. Or some shit like that. So that's fucking awesome. For those of you guys that don't know, Dennis Perrone is literally the grandfather OG of the legalization movement. He authored California Cannabis 215, which is the very first medical cannabis bill, which is the reason why any of you have medical cannabis right now. Right. He is the most important person. He's also, aside from in the cannabis legalization movement that's currently alive, in my opinion, I've had the pleasure of meeting him and talking to him for a bit and on multiple occasions, which is very, I mean, I can't begin to tell you how much that meant to me. But he was also a very big proponent of the gay rights movement, as well as helping get rid of HIV stigma, which you know is you know really awesome to hear. You know, he played a huge role, being a big proponent. Everybody knew who he was, and he was super involved with the gay community back in the day, especially when they were being ravaged by HIV in the 80s and early 90s, before they had any kind of treatments for it. And you know, he helped, you know, as a cannabis person, go out there and help make sure that people weren't alienated. I know he lost one of his close partners to HIV, and it's you know, it's nice to see some people out there, you know, helping get rid of some of the stigmas out there that don't really need to exist. So,
right, and well wishes to Dennis Perrone.
Yeah, hell yeah, and you know, long live the king. So,
well, I'll tell you what. Now, this story isn't from last week, but I had to go through. As some of you know, I had a recent hack. Somebody from Indonesia hacked our servers, and all my websites and emails were tied up for about 20 days. And I got back into inherited a freaking mess. Well, I was running across this today, and I had to throw it at Steve because see if he wanted to do it because it wasn't really from last week. But I ran across an email from Big Mike at Advanced Nutrients. You know, if you ever signed up for it, you're going to get them till you die unless you unsubscribe. I even think you'll still get them. You know, so here's the thing. So today I'm looking through it, you know, and I'm cleaning stuff up so I get back in my business track, and I run across this Advanced Nutrients Super Bowl party shut down by LAPD. And so he's claiming in this letter that he had this 10x17 TV and the Super Bowl party planned, and the LA Ram cheerleaders and ex-NFL 420 friendly people and 500 growers that evidently, I don't know, signed up. Maybe they signed up won a contest on Advanced Nutrients stuff, whatever. And I just thought it was funny. So then I read on, and basically it's, you know, it's about, they came in, well, they were building, he says that they were building this big giant place for this party, and they came in and put a stop work order on it and shut down the party in Los Angeles. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. Steve, I don't know if you want to comment any more on that. That's kind of what I got out of it, and I didn't go real deep into it because it basically came to what it looks like. He never had the party and didn't get shut down like I originally thought. You know, the headline kind of makes you think, oh wow, they're having this massive party and here come the cops shutting them down. But it was really, they were shut down, and they weren't able to build the event. The event was shut down, a cease and desist, so to speak. But they said stop work order is how they listed it in Los Angeles. So, well, oh, you checking it out?
Yeah, well, so he had food to feed 1,000 people, and he ended up donating it to a homeless shelter, which was also pretty cool. So
that's cool.
I don't know. People definitely have mixed opinions on Advanced Nutrients and stuff, and you know.
But anytime somebody gives
outrageous things, which I won't necessarily bring up at the moment, but in general, I mean, they have a, you know, but it's an interesting thing to see that, you know, this shit still goes on, even in California and LA, where the land of legalization, where you have 20-foot trees of weed, you still have bullshit like this going on.
And somebody with money.
And somebody with money that's prominent in the industry is getting picked on, you know.
You know, so we can't rail on him this time.
I think you know more than I do.
Well, you know, I don't really know.
Maybe we should get him on Thursdays. I've used a lot of his products. I've never had any issues. Well, you know, I mean, I think he gets a little. I disagree with how much he uses petroleum-based stuff in his products, but that's just me being an aquaponics grower. That's all.
Well, I mean, you know what, I think if you can get him on the show, I think it'd be great, because I think everybody deserves to have a chance to talk about, you know, what they want to do, why they, you know, I mean,
it's super stoked to get both.
Tell him to wear his fire suit when he comes.
Oh no, we're nice to our guests.
I'm just kidding.
If anybody ever did get a little feisty, I'd definitely crack the whip, because, you know, we're not gonna. If we have somebody on the show, we're gonna, you know, it's fine if we ask them, you know, maybe a hard question or something, but we're not gonna come. We're gonna invite somebody on just to grill them. That's not right.
No. I was kidding.
I want people to come on the show, you know.
I'm nice to the guests. I just inquisitive. I want to make sure that the new growers and the people that don't understand as much get their answers, and that's what I'm always try to do. I know you said, well, I thought you were kind of hard on him, but no, I thought he enjoyed, you know, like Janesh. I love Janesh. He answered every question. I just was asking him questions that a guy that if you know, I couldn't, you know, I hadn't been really, I know there's times that I used foliar feeding, but not to get off. We're getting on Thursday night. Sorry. Let's move on. We just do our new show. I'm getting on Thursday.
No, it's fine. We're down to the last article, so it's totally fine to derail for a minute.
So it's our little bullshit session before the end for the crazy stuff, huh? So.
Yeah, because I was floored by how offensive this one was.
Wow. So
this is like a good news and a bad news thing. So the good news is Florida the governor finally signed Amendment 2, which passed in November, to legalize medical cannabis in Florida. The reason why this is fucked up and offensive is because this is his quote. Okay, are you guys ready for this? This is a good day for sick and suffering in Florida.
Oh my God.
This is a good day for sick and suffering Floridians. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like,
Yeah,
who's this writer? Like, who wrote his speech?
Misperceived there. Yeah.
It was just, I get that it's out of context, but like, come on, man.
Yeah, but at least he did it, though, right? He signed it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a completely fucked up bill.
Yeah.
It's so pigeonholed, and it allows for a borderline monopoly on the whole thing.
Is that
so?
Yeah, I was wondering. I haven't checked in yet because that's the closest place to me. Like if I was going to say, well, I'm going to move, but I'm probably not. But if I was gonna, if Florida was right, I was waiting to see what they did. I was waiting to see what.
Why would you want to move to Florida? It is entirely too hot there. No offense to Floridians. I like Florida. I do a lot of fossil hunting there with my family when I visit. I'd never want to live there. It's too hot. It's too hot and humid.
I'm not very far from that, my friend. I'm not, I'm right. I'm an hour from the ocean, and believe me, you're talking about the heat out there in California, and then I saw the thing about all the wildfires all over the Southwest, from Texas all the way to California, and I mean, there's like 13 wildfires out of control right now, and you're talking about the heat. Well, you're preaching to the choir over here. I live in South Carolina. It's pretty freaking hot over here right now, too.
Oh, you don't have heat like we do. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, you got nothing like me, a fish conscious guy. How many times has it gotten over 100? And then how many times has it gotten over 105?
Well, we get over 100 every summer. In June and July and August,
right.
We get.
But does it get over 105 though, or like 110?
110's hot now. That's San Diego.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, see, you're a little
San Diego and LA. I'm just southeast of LA actually, or San Diego. I'm not far out of town, just barely on the edge of town. So, but it gets hotter here than it does in town. So
yeah.
We're a little bit farther from the sea, so.
Yeah, I got a lake not far, and a river, and a canal, and then the ocean an hour away. We got high winds here all the time, but it gets over 100 every freaking day, pretty much from here till August, end of August.
So, so the bill would allow people with HIV, AIDS, glaucoma, post-traumatic stress disorder, ALS, Crohn's disease, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, and similar conditions to qualify. It would allow for 10 medical marijuana treatment centers throughout the state of Florida by October 3rd. In addition to 7 already opening, 5 that applied for in 2015 but were not selected will be licensed by August. The other 5 licenses include 1 set aside for a group of black farmers.
Wow.
So there you go. We were talking about that issue earlier.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Today we'll be striking a reminder of the power each and every person vote. The people of Florida spoke loudly in November. Blah, 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 blah. The bill still bans smoking marijuana despite amendment supports. Despite amendments, supporters say that it will be written into the language. Who played key roles in getting the amendment on the ballot and passed, expected to file a lawsuit over the issue in the county circuit courts next week. So looks like they will get smoking after all. Well, hopefully. Medical marijuana producers can be sold as edibles, vaping, oils, sprays, or tinctures. Patients may receive an order for 3 70-day supplies before having to visit a doctor again to get re-examined. So that is definitely different than any other state where you have to get. So
yeah, that's gonna bolster the
3 times
doctor.
7. So every 210 days you have to go get reevaluated. So basically twice a year you got to go see your doctor and make sure you can still take weed. Like that's kind of bullshit. Like, come on. Like, and I bet you they'll charge you. It'll be like Colorado. They'll charge you like $75 a visit. They'll charge you $150 a visit.
It's all about creating
just so that people understand how the racket's going to go with this. That's yep. And then the state's going to tax each of those visits, 20%, and that's how the whole racket works. So,
but at least you get your medical marijuana. So thank you for that.
Yep.
So I mean, I'm surprised. I was surprised when Florida did that. But see, that's what Hugh Weathers, the Department of Agriculture of South Carolina, was talking about. We need to be the first one here to do it, and now Florida beat them to it. Florida beat everybody else to the punch, you know, and here we go. So, but them doing it, sure, it got Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, it's going to be a tough sell. But I mean, there's a lot of people. If you take the polls, it matches all the other polls. The majority of people want it, but the legislature won't do it.
Yeah.
So.
Chicken Hole asks, is it 3 month supply? No, it's not 3 month supply. It's 3 70-day supplies before having to visit a doctor again. So it's 3 70-day supplies. That's why I said 210 days, because 7 times 3 is 21.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
So it's definitely far different than most other legalization bills out there. So, and this is why we do this show. I started the show because we were covering a couple topics each week. Sometimes we'd forget and stuff, and I'd feel bad about it. And you know, I wanted to make sure that we're still covering these important topics because there's so much happening right now in the cannabis industry, especially in regards to legalization. I can't tell you. I mean, I've had at least a dozen projects go south that had, you know, funding there, a property acquired, the whole nine. But then had a local ordinance or a local law change or something and totally just, you know, obliterated the possibility of that business operating there. And then they have to get into the market, or the real estate market, in an already saturated industry. You only have maybe a handful of properties that can qualify for zoning, and then it just turns into a clusterfuck. So they end up getting boxed out of the industry after that. So making sure that you know, dot your I's, cross your T's, and triple check your zoning and laws and ordinances before you try to start a business, or even if you have a business, making sure you're keeping up on what's going on around you to make sure someone doesn't pull the rug out from underneath you, is a big thing. Chicken Hole asks, is it true that Mexico legalized? Yes. Did we cover that last week?
I do not believe we did. No.
Oh, that must have happened on Tuesday. So yeah, we'll touch on that too. So Mexico legalized medical cannabis. Let me look at the laws for that. We'll close on that.
Cool. Well, while you're doing that, I'll comment on what you were just saying. Starting the show was a lot to do with the fact that there really wasn't a cannabis news show where you could get all these stories in one place.
We couldn't find
several sources. So Steve came up with the idea, what if we get all the stories from all over and gather them into one show? And here we are.
Yep. You know. I know the Do Grows guys do or I don't know if they still do. I haven't seen them in a while, but they used to do This Week in Cannabis, or they had, like, I don't know, whatever their Friday show used to be, a news show, but lately they've just been like, we're too depressed. So, you know, we got to make sure at least somebody's keeping everybody informed on the news. But I love those guys. They're great. I talk to Scotty at least once or twice a week. I keep wanting to say his real name. I know I'm not allowed. I know I shouldn't, but the dude, I talk to him on a semi-regular basis as well. So every time I was good about it. I didn't slip. But I help hang. If you guys have seen the dude's grow room, I helped him hang his SK600s in there. So last time I was over his house, we hung his SK600s. So it's always fun to hang out with some of the other dudes that do a lot of the same stuff that we do. And I'm in talks with trying to get some more grows. If you guys have any opinions, thoughts, or suggestions for or know anyone that wants to be a guest in the show for Thursdays, please let us know. Right now I'm looking for some more guests. I have a few lined up, but I'm definitely looking for some more right now. I try to line up stuff. I'm trying to start lining up stuff a month or two ahead of time, so that we're gonna. My whole goal is to make this show and the other show much more professional looking. So expect a big boost, especially once I move north here and we get set up, because I'm going to start doing the show from the greenhouse and some of the other cool places that we're going to be doing it. We'll be doing it live from the garden. So you guys will like that.
Yeah, and maybe Steve will send all of us a backdrop too, so we can all be growing with fishies behind us, you know. So.
Actually, you guys have seen C-Funk on the show before. He helps out. He actually did the artwork. If you guys have seen the splat screen, when I post the show after the fact, I put the title screen on. It says Growing with Fishes. The other one says Last Week in Cannabis. C-Funk, who's been on the show before, he's the artist that did that. So if you guys are interested, definitely let me know. He does all kinds of ridiculously talented artwork if you're looking for a good person like that. So definitely check him out.
I'd like to see his portfolio.
Yep, I'll have to look up his. I'll put a link in the description to his website if anyone's interested.
Okay,
he does incredibly talented artwork.
So you were going to go, you were getting some research. Oh, Mexico.
Yep,
Legalization
Mexico.
of medical
I was
marijuana.
looking at the details of the bill here. I have the article open off of Leafly. Let me throw it in the Excel sheet. So you guys are aware we use an Excel sheet in order to, the links at the bottom, guys. We use an Excel sheet in order to be on the same page so we can read the articles and ahead of time. I try to post them up on Sundays or halfway through Monday, and then we can read them beforehand so that we know what the hell we're talking about during the show. I'm hoping that the viewership increases on this show. If we don't get a lot of viewers after maybe 3 months of this show, I might end up just killing off the show because I spend more time on this show. I spend 5 times as much time on this show than I do the other show. So, and we end up with much fewer viewers, I guess, in total per week. But I feel like this show is a service that's needed because I don't feel like there is another aquaponic, or not even aquaponic, but cannabis news show out there that's touching on all these different legal bills, trying to hit everything that's going on in a given week. That's what I try to do, is just hit all the important articles. I know that the first week we had 40 or some articles because there was a lot of important, interesting articles. The next week we had fewer. This week we have, a lot less, but there just wasn't a lot in available out there that happened, so it fluctuates.
I think there might be other sources too and I apologize for this because I had planned on trying to help with the sources, but
Okay.
I'm still trying to build my network, and that with the servers going down, I'm so far behind right now. I got to do that first. I plan on having that done. Huh?
Thank you to all the viewers at home. I know we got 9 viewers in chat. Feel free to ask questions. And if you guys are aware, we have a really awesome grow show on Thursdays called Growing with Fishes, where we touch on both aquaponic and cannabis, mostly in regards to organic production. We're working on trying to get a Chicken Hole just asked in chat. He says we need both Steve and the vets. Yeah, we're trying to get some more veterans together. If anyone knows any veterans that would be interested in doing a weekly show like this, but more of a style of like Thursday's show, but just geared towards veterans. So I want to do just a cannabis show where it's how to teach cannabis to veterans and why they should use it and how to grow. Just based 100% around veterans, and get them on the show every week, build a panel of veterans. I'll be there to answer questions, but I'll be a minor part of it, and we're working on trying to find more people. So that's the other thing we're looking on the show right now. Is if anyone knows any veterans that are cannabis growers, please have them email me at potentponics.com. Thank you.
Right.
Also, I'm working on trying to get a couple of different people on the show and in talks with a couple of different people right now. So if there's anyone you guys want to suggest for the show, please let me know, or reach out to them and tell them why they should be on the show, and give them my email, which is potentponics@gmail.com, which you probably have by now. So
I know a couple of medical marijuana people that have gotten off of pharmaceuticals and stuff that might be good on the show, and
awesome.
In fact, they can tell in depth about what it's like to get off of really hardcore pharmaceuticals and now be living their life with medical marijuana and oils and tinctures and stuff like that. Won't mention any names right now, but y'all know who you are if you're listening. So that's great. So we're going to touch on the laws of Mexico?
Yeah. So the medical, I was reading that while we were talking. The medical marijuana law eliminates the criminalization of medical use of cannabis, CBD and THC, and all cannabis derivatives, as well as legalizing the production and distribution of cannabis for medical and therapeutic uses. The ruling eliminates the prohibition and criminalization of acts related to the medical use of marijuana and its scientific research, and those relating to the production and distribution of the plant for those purposes. The current law only allows medical cannabis that contains 1% or less of THC. They will be changing that rule here in a bit, but they're going to do a few studies first in order to determine the framework they're going to use to do that. The Ministry of Health will require a study of the medical and therapeutic effects of cannabis before creating a framework for the medical marijuana program. So while they did legalize it, it is going to be a couple of years, it looks like, before it's fully facilitated.
at least they want to do testing and all. They're actually sounds like they're setting it up the way it kind of should be set up, basically.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the quote lack of
see.
THC, but but you completely, because I think that has its own merits, and as opposed
Especially
to just
cancer.
CBD. But it certainly sounds like they got a pretty good plan. Hey, USA, you might learn something from Mexico on this point. I'm sorry. That was my rant.
Donald Trump would never admit it.
Oh my God, no way. Yeah, he could never be dumber than anybody.
Build a wall. Build it out of weed. And then just light it
out of
fire.
the brickweed.
Yeah, build it out of the brickweed. Take all that brickweed you got down there and just build a wall out of that. I think Americans, even stoners, are okay with building the wall out of brickweed. Like, hey, we don't want your brickweed. You just use it as a building material. It's fine.
Turn it into hempcrete.
Right?
There you go. Yep, and it'll only cost you a little bit of petrol for the trucks to carry it down there and put it in place. So.
Alrighty, well, does anyone else have any other questions or anything else before we wrap up the show? Brian, Brain Grow, do you want to tell people how to find you and tell them what's coming up on your channel?
Yeah, definitely. I've been, like I said, I've been busy this weekend, but hopefully I'll be able to get back to my dry sifting screens here pretty soon. You can check me out on YouTube. I just recently uploaded a couple of videos last week. One of them was on the sand filter, so check that out. And then you can also find me on Instagram at BRAYNE_GRO.
Awesome. Make sure you send me your link at the end here, because I need to paste you onto the YouTube. You've been on enough episodes now. We gotta add you to the description and stuff like we do with Fish Ganja Guy and Marty. So.
All right, cool. I'll email you.
Therapeutic. Oh shoot! Hold on. 1 second. Hold on. Therapeutic Concepts. I saw your thing here. I just accidentally hit the refresh button. Let me get back to it. What about the House bill in Texas?
The House bill in Texas. Well, the House bill in Texas didn't make it through. I actually talked about this on, I think it was the first episode, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Anyway, it didn't happen to make it through the calendars committee. It was basically stalled out, I believe, by the public health committee, and that was going to be a great law that was going to allow a wide range of medical conditions to be treated with full plant cannabis, not only CBD anymore. So that was good. And then last minute, they had actually cut out the right to grow and added in some bullshit amendment also, like where you couldn't smoke it and it had to be administered by other means than smoking. But just to make a long story short, if you really want to go back and get an in detailed description of that, I would recommend going back and checking out the first episode.
Well, that's good. So that actually is a good thing then, that you put the no home growing and no smoking, so you wanted that bill to fail.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. And people called me an asshole, and people were like, well, lives are depending on it. And I'm like, well, we're basically fixing to hand over the industry to the same people who have been jailing people for it for years, so I did not want that to go through without a home grow, because that was our only sanctuary in that bill. It was the only thing that was going to meet the people halfway. Otherwise, right now, as it is, as the CBD law that's fixing to go into effect at the end of this year, there's only going to be 3 companies, all based out of Austin, that are somehow supposed to serve patients in Texas. Of course, the only qualifying condition is intractable epilepsy. So
that's not funny. I'm sorry.
It's not like it's not like they're going to serve a massive amount of people anyway. But still, it's one location for the state of Texas. Like, what the hell?
That's insane. Not only that, wasn't the like initial permitting fee a $500,000 non-refundable permit fee, application fee, or something
the initial one was like, I want to
2
say
million, I
something
think, the
reasonable.
first one.
No.
Oh.
The very first one was like under 15,000. Okay, and then they bumped it to a million. I can't. It was a million something. But then as it is now, it's like 488,000 application fee. Oh no. The application fee I think is still something smaller in the less than 20,000 range. I will guess. I'm not 100% sure on that. But upon uh, winning the license, you then have to put up like $488,000. So it's crazy.
Yeah, well, that's how it was in Colorado for a while. I don't know what's going on there, and I haven't followed this story anymore, but it was the same way. You had to put up hundreds of thousands of dollars to open a pharmacy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Colorado
people
Springs was 150,000, I think, per permit or something like that.
yeah,
And now
but then
they're considering they're considering bringing back those psychotically high levels in Colorado Springs again. In fact, I almost included that article, but it wasn't. They haven't done anything yet. It was just an idea, and it isn't even in a committee or anything, so it wasn't really relevant. It was just the fact that it was brought up.
right. Well, you voters out there, this is what you got to pay attention to. You know, what they're doing when they make the licensing and permit fees that high, they're just trying to give everything to corporate America. They're trying the tobacco companies, the pharmaceutical companies, and all the same crooks that have taken like EpiPen that was $55 and now $650.
Yes, sir.
And you'll die if you don't have that EpiPen. So how many people in this country can afford $650 for an EpiPen? I can tell you a lot of people cannot afford it at all. If they get stung or go into anaphylaxis, which I am personally affected by this, that's who you're giving it to. You let the state and the legislatures keep bumping this price up where the common man can't get into business. Like, hell, you can go out and open up a beer and wine store, but you can't open up a cannabis store.
Yeah, and well, I mean, just to add to that though, like the way it happened in Texas, you know, like it was already changed it. They changed it up like you know, 3 times. So it kind of feels like they're doing stuff like that behind the back. And then I also wanted to add that we were talking about the Texas legislature a while ago. I believe we also talked about the decriminalization bill, which I'm definitely fuzzy on. So I can't remember what all I talked about, but I definitely talked about the details that and that one actually made it further than the medicinal cannabis bill. So I was really hoping that one went through. I think the only thing I can remember off the top is that the maximum penalty for possession of less than, I want to say 2 or 1 ounce. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it was going to be a $250 fine with no possibility of jail time. So that would have been a definite plus on that too.
Well, so how long do you think it's going to be before it comes back around for another shot with it, maybe with the home growing in it, or is this going to be a lot of years now? I mean, what do you think?
Now, 2019, just based on what we saw this year, really looks pretty promising. So, I also mentioned in that episode also how they pulled this shit this year. Luckily, the bill didn't go through because they would have a fucking effective monopoly going on right now, you know, making millions upon billions, you know. And I think that I hope somebody, if I'm not able to go personally myself to testify in front of them, that somebody will bring up the fact that they tried to do this bait and switch bullshit with the bill, so it does not happen again.
On that note, they just did that in Massachusetts, where they introduced a reasonable bill And then what did they do? They allowed a clause where they could pull the fucking rug out from underneath it and completely fuck the whole thing up by altering it after the fact and changing it to 28% tax, which is way beyond what anyone would have realistically voted for. And then they're going to fucking push that through. And meanwhile, no one had a fucking say in any of it.
Exactly. Keyword there was after the fact, people. They are doing this after the bill has already gained support. It's complete bullshit.
That's the new form of prohibition. Is let them have their thing, let them push their wave, and we'll fuck them over afterwards. You know, we'll adjust it and we'll make sure they suffer in the long run, but just let them feel like they've won temporarily. And this is happening across the country right now.
Yeah, that just goes back to the same thing as this legal one term when you got it, you know, like half the towns in Colorado. There are a few towns in Colorado where they had dispensaries, and somebody new was voted in, new mayor, new city council. They put up a bill, and all of a sudden it was illegal to have dispensaries in that same town that they took these hundreds of thousands of dollars from. So we keep going back to that too, folks. You know, this topic's going to go round and round and round and round for a long time. And just like, you know, we never got to Jeff Sessions tonight, though. You said you promised a little Jeffy. We were going to get to pick on Jeffy tonight.
I thought we were. I guess we aren't.
It's okay. We can save it.
We have a whole week. We have a whole week where there wasn't anything. I know. Oh, where was it? Michael Keaton. I think. No, was it Michael Keaton? Michael Douglas. Some fucking celebrity named Michael went after him. Somebody. Anyways, no, he didn't do anything legally anyway this week. He's been. We're dodging federal indictment right now, so. Probably muted if I'm doing a dab. I'll let you guys talk a second.
So, go ahead.
Go.
Well, I was just going to say to Brain Grow, but if you have an idea, we could hit on that. You got anything new you up to over there with your? Well, I guess we got no news. We talked about your news. So let's talk about something grow while we're on here. You know, anything new going on? How's it going?
I don't know. As for right now, I just been real busy. You know, the newest thing I've been working on is my rain catcher system. You know, so hopefully I'll be able to get that completely finished this week with the first flush system installed. I already have all my pipe put together and whatnot. I just got to figure out how I'm gonna hang a big ass pipe that's already heavy and is gonna hold several gallons of water. You know, so I don't have that problem completely solved yet, but when I do, I'm probably gonna upload something on that too.
Why don't you shoot me something about the idea you've got on the forum? Okay. And I got a bunch of ideas about a bunch of stuff. You know, maybe you could use one of them.
Yeah, definitely. I was actually gonna bring that up on the forum here pretty soon.
Yeah, the forum we're talking about is ilovegrowedmarijuana.com. And it's an excellent, mature forum that when nobody gets picked on or called stupid, you know, we protect our members like that. They answer to me if they do act like that, or, you know, if you have a question, we answer the same. What should the pH be? A million times. But, you know, we treat new growers well, and our new growers are exceptionally talented by the end of their first grow because they learned the right way the first time. And Brain Grow and Steve here has been kind enough to join and do some support here and there. It's definitely not their main forte or their mainstream thing they do, but they were kind enough to be part of the community. So, you know, if you shoot them a question, you know, if you get on there in the aquaponics center, you know, section, and you want to shoot them up a question, and they don't get right back with you, I might just have a Skype connection or something I can get.
No.
Say, hey.
I got it set up. If you email me through there, the chat thing will come up in my email. So feel free to hit me up.
Okay, well there you go. So I guess normally normally we don't allow a lot of email stuff, but he blatantly posts his email all day on the show. So
yeah,
you know, if his email is in his profile and you can see it,
Oh no, I'm saying I have it set up so that if you message me on I love growing marijuana, it'll or if you say at and then I think it's what is it, Aquaponic Steve
okay,
or
yeah.
whatever my name is
Yeah,
on there.
aquaponics.
If you at me, it'll automatically show up in my email, and then I'll reply to you on the I love growing marijuana website.
Right, and that's
And we have
Aquaponic Steve.
Yep, and we have an aquaponic section on there now too. So if you guys are aquaponic growers, make sure from the Thursday show, make sure you join in on there.
Oh, it's great too. Yeah, I mean, you got anyway. I was getting to. We've got great members there. So many knowledgeable members, and everybody shares their information. And if they don't know, they just shoot it over to me or Steve or Garrigan, Dummy. And all of the great people. We got Aquaponic Dummy as the moderator there. For those who don't, we miss him. He's still struggling in life, and I'm dying to talk to him. But it's still just a real quick news about that. I've been able to get in touch with him a little more. I think I actually got something on Facebook. Well, he's been posting a little on Facebook, which means he's getting a little more active. He comes on the forum once a day. I've been just using private message at the forum, and I can get a message to him once, but he doesn't, contact me every day or anything. So I'm where, if you're the praying type, I think blessings and prayers for Dummy would be good for everybody to get him back on healthy and back up and productive, because he needs to be productive. The less productive he is, the bigger hole he falls into. So, one hell of a grower, one hell of a nice guy and generous. Steve was talking about prizes.
Super generous. He's given away so many prizes on the show. He's a really, really great guy. So if you guys can show him any love, definitely. He has a really awesome YouTube channel. Make sure you show him some love on there right now. He's definitely having some hard times, and he could definitely use some appreciation from people out there. So definitely show him some of your love.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing. So that's pretty cool, though. I'll be happy to help you out. Or I might be able to come up with an idea. If I can't, there's we got all kinds of people, engineers and everybody on that site, and everybody love. Boy, if you post a question, you'll get a bunch of responses from people. I guarantee you.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll probably work on something tomorrow. I don't know if you saw the Korean natural farming post, but I just kind of typed something out off the top of my head, and came out pretty good. Posted some pictures of some of the Korean natural farming nutrients that I've made and some stuff that I'm working on. I made this fermented fruit juice out of black mulberry, and it came out like a super, super dark red. It's beautiful. It's just like super anthocyanin rich,
Wow.
And then I made one out of apricot, and that one smells awesome. I can't wait to spray that on the plants. I'm sure they will love it. And then one of the other things I'm working on is Oriental herbal nutrient. I think tomorrow will be day 5 of the phase 1 of the fermenting process for the Oriental herbal nutrient, and I'm using ginger for the first one. I was going to get some garlic, and I'm still going to. I just haven't done it yet. And there's other things that you can make the Oriental herbal nutrient out of. And as far as Korean natural farming, what I love about it is you can just get creative on your own, It's awesome. Make your own nutrients and get as creative as you want.
I saw that post, but I was kind of like in the middle of working, because that's something I'd like to read and enjoy. And I got to answer so much stuff and do the blog comments and all that. I saw your post. I go, man, that looks interesting. But I get to the point where I was like, I just want to chill. I just want to get off the computer for a while. But yeah, I'm going to go check that out. Thanks for posting that. I'll tell you what, I guarantee you, we have crazy people, or I don't know if you already noticed how crazy friendly and all that. But if you post stuff like that, I don't know how much response have you had, because I didn't get to see it yet.
Yeah, I've had a couple people that have already responded to it, and one of the guys was like, "You have any links?" And I was like, "Yeah, I actually mentioned in the post that I will be back to edit it with links." But after I got done typing that thing, I was like, "Man, my eyes need to rest for a second," And then like I said, the weekend's just been crazy for me. So probably tomorrow I'll have some time, because today was a pretty good day. So tomorrow I'll have some time to catch up on things that I need to catch up on.
Okay, so I think it's probably that might be something, Steve. We might throw up on Thursday a little bit. Talk about that Korean nutrient gardening thing. That sounds. I will read up on it so I could talk on it if we could do a little thing on it. Let him, you know. But I don't know what else you got planned Thursday. But I think you were ready to wrap this up, weren't you? And we were just going on and on and on. That's what you get for doing a dab before you wrapped it up.
Yeah. So I actually posted that Korean, a really good guide to Korean organic fertilizer on the Aquaponic Cannabis Facebook group on Facebook. So just check it out, Aquaponic Cannabis Growers, if you're interested in that. So the whole book is on there in PDF form or in
that was like
slide
a
form.
that was a pretty that was a good little it was either PDF or slide.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good videos that you can just watch and find out what you need to know. And there's actually people that have posted like whole seminar sessions on YouTube about it. So the information is out there. You know, you just got to be willing to go and check it out. And when I first heard about it, I was like, Korean natural farming, never really heard about it. And thought on it for a couple of days, and I was like, fuck it, let's go check it out, you know. And when I looked into it, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool, you know. And I've had some pretty positive results with it, you know. So
alrighty, so we've mentioned Roger's site and we mentioned Brian Grows. Y'all can find me at potentponics@gmail.com. If you want to email me, if I forgot an article from this week that was important, let me know. We'll cover it next week. If you have questions, if you have suggestions for guests for the Thursday show, please let me know. And I'll see you guys on Thursday. Also check me out at potentponics.com. And thanks for watching. I got to go put my chickens away, so take care. Cheers.
Y'all have a good night. Bye now.